Greetings, you guys. This is going to be another message. So, yeah, this is not going to be for everyone. But, yes, shout out to my fellow DHGs. This is your SiStar, Queen Esther Tarot, aka The Hidden Gem. And I just wanted to share another message for you guys. And I was trying to figure out how to word this, but I'm just going to trust and I pray that God gives me the messages and the insight that I need to convey the message properly, accurately, and effectively in the way that I'm divinely guided to. So the message is in regards to internet, clout, and seeking validation online and social media, and essentially from people, period. So I was on YouTube, and I seen this channel that comes up often on my suggestions, and I was the other day I was stopped by one of his videos because he was talking about social media. Any other time I would see his videos truthfully and I wouldn't be led to click on them. He is a Christian based channel. He does talk about his ministry and so on and so forth, but something led me to watch this video, and he was talking about, paraphrasing, just summing it up quickly, he was basically talking about how he got, started online and how he would be led to post things. His name is Alex Wilson on YouTube, in case you guys are interested in his channel. But basically, he was talking about how he started off and how he started uploading prophetic messages or messages to encourage people, and how they started to get a lot of views and stuff. And he said he started to become addicted to the worship and the self-glorification that he was receiving from all of these likes on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube. And he was like, basically had to check himself, because he started to see how he was losing himself in the analytics and the numbers and the self-glory, right? And I talk about this often on my other channel, and I probably mentioned it here on this channel as well, that the whole thing of having to ask myself, what am I doing this for? And having to check myself and say, okay, is this about numbers? This is about, because one of the things for me that I've been growing through is not to pay attention to that as something that either validates me as I'm doing something, or I'm not doing enough, or worthy, or you're not worthy, your content is worthy or it's unworthy because of the analytics. And I know that in society that means everything. High numbers, high view count, subscribers and likes mean everything, right? That really validates you as your reputation, whether you got it or you don't got it, or you're popular or you're like, people really do base things off of that. And people won't even think twice about or blink an eye at certain people because of how much likes they have and don't have, right? So I found myself being caught up in that whole system of value and worth and inadequacy because of numbers, in this system, this matrix, right? So I heard God say to me that the part of the reason why, and not just me specifically, I'm speaking for the collective, so I'm going to remove myself out of it. But I heard God say that you're not going to receive a lot of notoriety from social media. You're not going to receive clout off the internet. You wonder why certain things might work for everyone else, but it doesn't work for you. Why you might be, let's say you have just as good of a post or content. You may be just as talented, maybe just as gifted as the next person. You're using the same hashtags. You're using, you're doing all of the stuff that people say that you should be doing to get lots of views, lots of likes, lots of shares, whatever. And you're finding that you're not getting that. And that's because that is not how God is going to not even glorify you, I should say, but that's not how God is going to elevate you. If you're doing what you're doing for the collective as a sake of, you are an ambassador of the Most High, you are a light worker, a shadow worker, wherever you want to call it. If it be that you guys are here working, like I said, you're doing work for the divine, you have a purpose, you want to uplift people, you want to encourage people, you want to inspire people, you know, your intentions are not just to get attention, just to post, just to be posting, or just to be, you know, whatever, shaking your you know, just to get attention, or just posting quotes because you know it's gonna get a lot of views and likes and shares. But you're doing these things because you are divinely called to, and you feel divinely called to do these things. When you operate from that energy, from that perspective, it can be challenging sometimes to not see your work, you know, not see the fruits of the labor that you feel like you should be getting. But, and again, everybody has their time, but God is saying to you, the reason why it's not working for you how it works for everybody else is because this stuff is temporary. Social media is really a matrix. It's an illusion. It's not real. Okay. It's literally a highlight of what people want you to see, and we can project what we want to see onto others as well. We can assume what we see, what people post, we can assume off of that. So it's not real. You know what I mean? We're only seeing a small fraction and portion of it, and how many likes one person gets. And I've seen this time and time again that no matter how much praise or how much likes you get, it may make you feel good for a moment, because these things are created to make you addicted. It is created for an addiction. It is created, essentially, it can be a good thing for self-promotion and for you to meet people and things like that, like, you know, good people that resonate with you. But also at the same time, it can also have its ugly side, because people are striving to achieve what they see online, when half of the time what they're seeing is not really what it is. You know what I mean? What it's painted out to be. So you have to be careful with that. The illusion of this thing. And it's a monster in a sense, almost, if you will. It's its own entity if you're not balanced in it. But I've recognized that a lot of people that do have all of these followers, that doesn't mean anything to them half of the time, because none of their problems go away. They still have the same internal issues. They still may be dealing with insecurities. They may still deal with depression. Nothing about their life has shifted, but what other people see is like, oh my God, he or she is so lucky. Oh, they were just on a yacht. Oh, they have these expensive high heels on. Oh, they just took a picture with a celebrity. Oh, they're so lucky. And behind the scenes, it's like Britney Spears, that song by Britney Spears, Lucky. We see only what is being presented, but we're not seeing the whole and the full. And that's not to say that everybody on social media is unhappy. That's not true. But a lot of people will say, the more and more you take time off of social media, you do feel a lot more at peace. You do feel more centered, because it's like, again, you're getting caught up. It's really literally a matrix. It is almost like a portal of energy, like, if you will, you know. And I would always suggest to people to cleanse out your social media. And also, when you get off of social media, because you're taking in a lot of energy, you're socially interacting virtually, nonetheless you're still socially interacting, so you're picking up on other people's energies, especially as an empath. So I really strive when I go on only to post what I need to post and get off. And if I need to respond to some messages and do that, don't spend too much time caught up on that. And if I need to mute or silence people's posts, if I feel like their posts are triggering, or, you know, it's things I don't need to be looking at, I'll do that. You know what I mean? I just, at this time, I don't feel like I need to be on there all the time. You know, I kind of got caught up on it a little bit during the time of my trip and my birthday, just to share, you know, certain cool stuff that I was doing and I was seeing. But I don't want to get caught up in the loop of that again. Like, I just don't. So needless to say, for those of you that are content creators, or you deal with low self-esteem due to validation of others, social media may be one of those things that does trigger it. And you got to get used to the fact that for those of you, you're trailblazers, you're not going to appease to the masses right away. It takes time. Anybody that's ever created a new lane, they were not easily accepted right away. They were looked at as weird and strange. They were looked at as, the outcast, because they weren't doing everything everybody else was doing. So you have to be okay with the fact, and this is something that I've heard a lot of people in my life say, that as I was going through this, I heard this message that you have to be okay with not being accepted by everybody. And I remember my aunt saying this to me, that when you're a prophet, you're not going to be liked by everybody immediately. And a lot of times people gravitate to what is sugar coated, what looks to be mainstream, what looks like the world, even if it's speaking in the name of God, or I'm a light worker, but it's all trend and it's all, you know what I mean? Like, people gravitate to those things more. But you have to be okay with the fact that people are not going to hop on your wave immediately, because you're meant to bring something new to this earth, to this physical realm that no one has seen yet before, because you're bringing a template in. We all have something unique and divine that we're supposed to bring to the table. And instead of receiving internet clout and all of that, you are going to be a prophet to the nations. You're going to be a household name, because you're going to be amongst the people. Social media has only been around for so long. It has not overexceeded the greats that we have in our history books, and those that have not even been mentioned or named, but their effects on this planet and the things that we see in this everyday, our everyday life, the things that we use, the things that we've learned, whatever. They didn't need social media to get their point across. You can reach people more, you can collectively reach people online, yes, but when you're in physical proximity to people, where you can personally interact and talk and communicate, where you can hear, you can sense, you can feel, have a natural exchange, a genuine natural exchange, a pure exchange, without all of the extra stuff, you get to really tap into people's true character and really get personal with people, where you're not judging a person off of how many likes and subscribers or views or followers they have online, or what they got on and where they went and who they know. But you're interacting with people, and your effect, that is what God wants to use you for. And it's funny, because one of my people, we had this conversation, is like, you've been getting led to get off social media as well. So, I feel like it's time to get off. It's time to expand yourself. Because I told her, I said, you don't got to be on social media to promote yourself. You do music, people, basically, like, people. And I was just saying to her, like, you don't gotta be on there to have your reach. You can have your reach in the community. And who's to say that God's not using that to push you out of your shell? I know that that's something that God has been trying to do with me, is to get me out of my little shell and stop hiding myself and, cloaking myself in the background, and actually be comfortable with being my authentic self around people. Not being so like guarded and wondering if I can trust this, I don't know about this, but instead being more open and exchange with people, genuinely exchange with people, and share my gifts and share, what God has instilled in me. And that is the same that God wants for you. Don't get caught up. It's an illusion. I know it's hard to really sit in this. And those of you that are light workers, you guys are old souls, that stuff doesn't faze you. But those that are caught up in the world system of things, that stuff really means a lot to them. Your validation, your worth, your value, you're only worth listening to, watching, talking to, following, unless you have a such and such amount of followers, or you're doing something that, you know what I mean? Like, you cannot get caught up on this type of stuff because it is fading. And the more and more I see behind it all, you know, people that have all, or seemingly have it all online and social media and things like that, there's a lot that goes behind it. And some of them are not all, you know, some of them are not all happy. Life is not all just good just because they got all these views and they have all these followers or these subscribers and all of this clout. It's not. And some do a lot to get that. You know what I mean? It's not easy come for some. But for you, it's not working for you, not because you're not valuable, not because you don't mean anything or nobody cares about you. You just don't fit in the world system of things right now. What you are bringing to the earth is something different. It may take time for other people to get it, but how much do you trust what's inside of you? How much do you trust the God inside of you? But God is going to use you actively and effectively in real time outside of social media, because you're called out of that. You're not supposed to hide behind the screen. And if you do have a platform, okay, cool. The right people that are meant to see it are going to see it. For some of you, it is actually divine protection that you don't have a lot of people watching you and fighting for your attention and getting caught up in drama and getting pulled into it. It takes a certain type of skin to deal with that. And for some of you, it's not even that you don't have a tough skin. For some of you, it's just protection that God is wanting to use you in another way. Okay. So there was something that I was going to say and I completely forgot what it was. Yeah, it's gonna, whatever it is that you're being called to, the right people, if you are a content creator or you put your music, you put your art, you put your writings, your content videos, whatever you put out in the name of your divine purpose and calling and what God has instilled inside of you, you're doing that not for self. You are going to reach those who you are meant to reach. And for some of you, it may not be until way later that people finally catch on to what you've been doing and you start to see your efforts work in. And I've seen that as well for people that have been, you know, just putting in that work, that it finally pays off because they did not waver. And when you remind yourself, what are you doing this for? It just corrects everything. It takes your perspective off of what it looks like, because if you focus on what everyone else is doing, it takes the eyes off of your purpose. So I would encourage anyone that is dealing with this to ask God to reveal to them, what do you want me to do? What is it that you want? What kind of work do you want to do within me? What is it that you have called me to do and to be? That's really the biggest thing. And if you feel like you already know, and it may be sometimes you don't know how to apply that or how to move in that, or is it a down season right now? Is it a time to just kind of sit it out at this time or continue to work on yourself, what have you? And also say a prayer to remove the orphan spirit off of you. If it's anything working inside of me, that orphan spirit that feels neglected, abandoned by you, by my loved ones, say that a prayer for yourself from your heart to free you of rejection and spirit of rejection and abandonment, and anything that's telling you that you're not worthy, that you're not, you know, needed or wanted. I know some of us deal with the spirit of depression or with the spirit of suicide, where you question your worth, your value here on this planet. And I pray that off of whoever is listening to this, that questions their worth, their value, their placement in this world, that feels like their light is not bright enough, or it's not useful, or it's no longer useful. I pray that the spirit of confusion, that spirit of deception off of you, because that is something that wants to take you off of your path, because you have something inside of you. A lot of people that feel like they're not supposed to be here, it's something that is wanting to cause them to forfeit and give up on their path and tap out of this planet, because you have something inside of you that is very grand and very big. And if there's that dark force, that enemy can trick you into believing that you're nothing, that you're not worthy, that, oh, see, this is why, oh, you should just give up. Nobody cares. Nobody's listening to you. Your family is not there for you. Who really cares? Let that go. Because when you shift your perspective and you say, no, these are the things that are going to be my testimony to help other people, other women, other men, other children, other ethnicities, other people that are like me, that have went through the same thing like I did. I'm going to help them through that because you brought me through it. I'm going to help and bring light and glory, not to myself, but who brought me out of it. That's the whole thing. That's really what this is about. And coming from the horse's mouth, a person that has gone through that depression of feeling unworthy and feeling like your time has just been wasted. You're not where you want to be. Everybody else is ahead of you. I've always been had this late bloomer complex with myself, feeling like I'm late and last behind. And it's so ironic because my mother, she was rushed to the hospital. I think she got into a car accident and she was rushed to the hospital because they were afraid that I was going to be a preemie. And they rushed her to the hospital. At the time, they didn't have preemie units in every hospital. So they had to fly her they had to helicopter her to a specific hospital to deliver me because they thought that I was about to be a preemie. When they were expecting me to be too early, they were expecting me not to be ready to come into this realm. Basically, I was just on time. I was a full born baby. I don't know what was going on I don't know if they got my mom or my mom got her conception period wrong, whatever. But it's like this, I've always had to deal with that late bloomer and people expecting me to be a little bit behind or delayed, or like you got to prepare me to do something that I'm not ready for. You know what I mean? That's always been that. And I had to break that perception off of not only myself, but also prove to others that no, I'm where I'm supposed to be. And it goes back to Esther. Maybe you were born for a time such as this. You were born into this room and this existence in this time exactly for a time such as this. You were supposed to be here at this time because God instilled in you a gift that is meant to influence and inspire other people around you. So the things, and if you go back to the story of Esther, she was ripped. When I go back and I really look at it, it's not just a romantic story, of course, because that's how people market it. But not only that, it wasn't a beautiful story how she got into the palace, the king's palace. Her and other women, other Jewish women, they were stripped from their homes. They were pretty much trafficked for this man that's like, I don't want to deal with this wife anymore. She's not following the rules. I want these women to be all beautified and prepped up for me and tailored to fit me, what I look for, what I want. And Esther got the favor to move up in that. But in those circumstances, it went against everything that they were raised to believe, and their customs and their religion. And that was a traumatic experience. So this is not something that was meant to be romanticized now that I really sit with it a little bit more. So you've been put in circumstances and situations that were not beautiful, but God still was able to use Esther to help free her people, to save her people. And at that time, it was a war going on anyway, or it had been a war going on. So the Jews had to protect their identities. They had to protect their religious customs and things like that. Hence why Esther, her birth name was Hadassah. She had to change it to Esther. So you had to be put through situations and circumstances that may have been challenging to you, where you feel like you are no longer yourself. That is a word right there. When you go through some stuff, you feel like you're not just your same self no more. You don't recognize yourself because you've been through so much. But God is saying that you could still be used as a blessing for others, and that's what you really got to remind yourself. And Esther, her name means hidden, to be hidden, a secret. So you are to be hidden for a time. You got to get that in your spirit. Not everybody's eyes should be on you anyway. Not everybody's eyes are worthy of being on you. Not everybody has good intentions. Not all attention is good intentions. People like to praise what's cool and what's trendy for the time, but these aren't people. Like, these likes don't mean nothing. These 1,000, 12,000 people, not, and I have to think about this too. Every view that you get, it might not be somebody that stays on and watch. They might click on accident. It might click and be like, oh, this don't resonate. Or somebody might be watching with evil intent. Not all good attention is good intention. I know they say in Hollywood, for some people, bad promotion is still promotion. Some people think like that. Nah, you are precious to the divine. And also too, this is another thing I'm gonna call this out too, that a lot of people that have bigger platforms, whether they're musical artists, whether they're content creators of some sort, they'll steal from the little channels because they don't think nobody's watching. So they'll steal their ideas, their talking points, their music, lyrics, their lyrical content, and get away with it. But that's for a time, because what God is going to do with you is going to over exceed any of that little stuff that they doing. Okay, there's a difference between collective mind, where we all might channel the same messages, or we might talk about the same things in music, literature, whatever is going on in social media or whatever, things that are pop culture. It might be some similarities there, but you can tell there's a difference. But don't worry about that, because what God is doing with you is going to excel past all of this fleeting stuff. That stuff is fleeting, okay? It gets discouraging. Trust me, I know. It does get discouraging. But at the end of the day, whatever God is doing with you is going to get the glory at the end of the day. Again, it's not about you, but it's for the glory of the divine, and people seeing what God did with you through your life, through your circumstances. That is something that's going to be inspirational, and that's the point of it all, is to not look at who and how you did it. Yeah, they're going to want to know how, and you're going to tell them, hey, this was nothing but God. Like, I couldn't have done this by myself. I might have had help from my peers, my family, my friends, whomever, but I have to give credit where credit is due. And it's nothing but God, and the God within me that did this, that was able to overcome, that was able to achieve. It's not about self-glorification. God will check us every time to make sure, what are you doing this for? Who is this for? And when we don't heal our inadequacies, our orphan spirits inside of ourselves, we'll seek to take all the glory for ourselves, because we are so used to being ostracized. We're so used to being the outcast, the weird one, the one that nobody wants to play with, no one wants to talk to. Even further, for some of you, it could be love partnerships. People feel like you're too different. People might fall in love with the idea of you, but when it comes down to really being with you, being called to step up to the plate, they just can't do it. They're not ready. So it's another feeling of, okay, maybe I'm not wanted. And I was watching, I don't know, I'm just all over the place. I'm just sharing as I'm getting it. But I was watching an interview with Phyllis Hyman today. I don't know what led me to, but I was watching it, and she was talking about how she was talking to a police officer, and then when she started to make it an interest or let it be known that she was interested in him, she said he froze up and he started stuttering, and she's like, he got a full clip, and he's this grown man. And mind you, Phyllis Hyman, I think, was like over 6 foot, I think, but she was such a beautiful woman, and she went through depression. I think she was bipolar, and she had depression, and sadly she took her own life, but she dealt with that feeling. And it makes me think of that there's so many people here on this planet that you're beautiful people will idealize you, they'll look up to you, but you still feel like this lonely person. You still feel like there's something about you. But until you get to that place where you truly embrace you and the God that created you fearfully and wonderfully, you're fearfully and wonderfully made. When you get to that place where you really get in your spirit what that means, and it might take some time, as you know, our journeys are all different. We're on different places and walks on our journey. We all have gone through different pains and trauma. So we have to have compassion with ourselves. That's why it's important not to compare yourself to other people, because each and every one of us has a different template, a different story, a path, you know, and a calling that we have. Even if we resonate with each other on certain levels, we still have to respect our differences and honor the fact that we are different. So I'm just going to leave it at that, you guys. Much love as always. Be blessed, be safe. I pray that this is encouraging to someone, that it really just, it hits someone at the right time that it needs to, and it frees you, or it starts that process of that, and it calls you to seek God in what your purpose and path is, or how to get back on track with it, or where you're supposed to place your purpose and path, your talents and your gifts. But as always, much love as always. Be blessed. I just talk too much, y'all. Be blessed. Peace.